Hello friends, welcome back to Naked Core. This is Victoria again, and today we're gonna do a Kiss Me dish, which is level 2, and it's gonna be spinach noodles, zesty spinach noodles. What level 2 is again, I'm gonna repeat it as I go through. I'm gonna try to remember for every single dish. Level 2 is when you already passed that phase of needing to have a burger or needing to have a mock meat or some kind of similarity to what you had before going to the plant-based diet. And we're just starting to experiment with vegetables, cooking different kind of styles, and really not caring about the past of having a center when having a dish like meat, fish, even though it was mock. So that's level 2. Today we have our little guests with us, Titus and Yuna, our doggies. We're going to see if they can behave today and not be all in the food, because as soon as they smell something, they just want to smell it, taste it, eat it, because they love vegetables. So let's introduce our ingredients. What we have here is a spinach noodle. This is actually fresh. I bought this in the Asian market. It's fresh spinach noodles. It's got no eggs, no bad ingredients in it. It's just completely fresh. 2 tomatoes, 1 potato. This is optional, but I want to give it a try. I think it will give a really good kick to this dish. And we have Chinese eggplant, if I'm not mistaken. I have 6 of them here. Of course, you can try it with any different kind of eggplant, but I just wanted to try this one. And here we have a bunch of fresh basil, red onion, and 6 cloves of garlic, lemon juice. I would usually use fresh lemons, but since I have this and I want to finish, I'm using this instead. Salt, pepper, and olive oil. It's very simple. This dish is easily made. No matter what store, you can get it anywhere. It's not going to maybe look like this is spinach noodles, but you can find different kind of spinach noodle that still doesn't have eggs or any other bad ingredients, actually. Better for you than the standard noodles or the standard pasta. So the first thing I'm going to do is get started with chopping up the garlic. So we have our garlic in the olive oil. It's browning a little bit already. And at this point, since we see the garlic almost ready, we're going to add our potato. I chopped them up in small pieces, as you can see. Because the potatoes are going to take the longest to finish, so we want to add it in there first. This is 1 potato chopped up in small pieces. So this one we're going to want to keep mixing on a regular basis because we don't want any of this to burn. As you can see, I'm not using non-stick cookware. I've explained this before. Tefal, the non-stick cookware, is made with some kind of chemical that actually causes or encourages cancer. So we want to stay away from that. We want to use different kind of cookware because it's better for you. The Tefal, what happens is when you cook and you scrape any of the Tefal pieces into the food, that's cancerous. So I'm always going to try to repeat that to spread the awareness there. I think it's important. Nobody wants to serve that kind of food to the family, right? So the potatoes are in there, and now we can already start cutting up our onion. We want to cut it the opposite way than what we're usually used to. Usually we cut it in the middle. This time we're cutting it lengthwise because these are beautiful red onions, and we want to make sure, I'm going to show you, I'm going to cut at this angle and go around it. These red onions are really pretty, and you want to keep the design. So see, this is your result, because this is going to be visible in your food. They look like flower leaves. They're great. So if we cut it this way, then we maintain the design and the prettiness of the onion for our dish. Onion is actually known to make you cry a little bit when you cook. So the best thing to do, which I'm not doing right now since I'm talking, is breathing through your mouth instead of your nose. So if you breathe through your mouth, for some reason the sharpness of the onion doesn't get to your eyes and doesn't make you cry as easily. So what I'm doing here now, I'm separating the leaves. See, they stayed attached to the bottom. I'm just separating them so they can go all in there separately instead of together. Wow, our kids here are so well behaved. It's pretty incredible. I can't believe I'm preparing food and they're not all over the place. So maybe we can have them as guests with us all the time from now on, because they go crazy when they're apart from us. Since our onions are separated, besides the last one here, I'm going to add them to our dish. Feel free to adjust the flame a little higher if you have to, if you think it's too low. I only ended up using half a red onion, not the whole one. I think it'll be a little bit too much. And we just keep mixing this. We can add our natural sea salt that I always use. Some pepper if you like pepper to your dish. And even though I'm already using basil and I don't have fresh oregano, but basil, I'm still going to add some fresh spices to this. Not fresh, but the dry spices. And mixing it all together. This is where you're going to be able to taste it and see if you have enough of your ingredients. And spices, of course. So we want to taste it here and see how our potatoes are doing, because this dish depends on our potatoes. Pretty close. I also have our water boiling for our green spinach noodles. And if you're using the dry noodles, not the one that comes in the refrigerator, you should probably start cooking it a lot earlier. But this one only needs literally 3-4 minutes in hot water, not even boiled, not even boiling, but it just needs to be really hot water and they're ready. So I'm doing it a little bit later than I would usually do it. So we have this ready. I'm going to start adding our eggplant. So all I'm doing is just cutting the tip off, and I'm doing the same idea like I did with the onions. I'm not cutting them this way. I want to make them pretty long pieces, and we're going to cut them this way. And I'm going to cut all these 6 eggplants up. So we don't have much sauce in this pan, of course, because it's been frying. So what we want to do is add some water to this, just to create a sauce. I know it sounds very simple with water, but it actually takes all the flavor out of the spices. I'm going to add some lemon juice to this. This would be usually probably a half a lemon or a full lemon, depending how juicy your lemon is. So as this is cooking now, what I'm going to do is add the eggplant. I'm going to make some room for it in the center. And the eggplant, at first, we want to have it on its back side, on the skin side. Probably can't get all of them to lay down nicely on the right side, but try as much as possible because we want to get that done first. Last is going to be our tomato because it adds a delicious flavor and it's not soggy. We want to do it last minute and hardly cook it. So now that this is cooking, you can have it on a high flame just to get the steam going through really fast. And then we're going to see how our water is doing for our noodles. Almost ready. I'm going to start separating our basil just to be ready. And then I'm going to cut our tomato as well, but we'll do it in a moment. So let's taste this really quick and see if it's ready, because the eggplant can't be too tough or too soft. You want to be just right and not bitter. That's it. This is right. You want to lower the flame a little bit because you don't want to burn the eggplant or have it overcooked really fast. The tomato, we're doing the same thing like we did with everything else. We're cutting it lengthwise to create nice strips instead of halves or circles or anything like that. I just make the dish look really pretty. In the meantime also, while I'm doing this, I'm just going to drop the noodles in the hot water, turn the flame off, and we're going to let it sit for 3 minutes. Maybe 4 tops. Spread it a little bit, make sure they separate nicely. And that the flame is off unless you're using a different kind of pasta. So while this softened over there, the pasta, we're going to finish our dish. This is going to go really fast. Our tomatoes go in there first. Our basil right after. And what we want to do with the basil, should be separated too, is mix it really quick into the heat, because green vegetables, when they stay on top of the heat and they steam, green leaves I should say, they get black, and that's really not pretty. You want it to stay green, so mix it into the heat right away. I'm going to pour the water out of these green noodles. They're done, I tasted them already. Easy way for me, I just hold it and leave a tiny little hole and pour the water out. Some people use strainers for this. I'm quite comfortable with doing it this way. Just careful with the heat because it gets really, really hot. The steam is hotter than water. As soon as that's done, we'll just add some olive oil. This is so the noodles don't stick. You can put a little bit of salt. There's our reminder the noodles are done. Maybe a little bit of pepper. And for the looks and scent, I like to add parsley flakes. And really quick, just mix the noodles with what you just added so they don't stick when you serve it. And we are ready to serve. You can cover the noodles really quick so they don't lose heat, because you don't have a flame anymore. And we're going to prepare our plates. Looks like this is just right. Again, I'm always very particular about presenting my dishes nicely. I think it makes a huge difference. This is what I do with a lot of dishes. I think it's very pretty. When you just line the outside with the pretty colors of the dish. And in the center you put your pasta. Or your spinach noodles in this case. Okay, so here's our noodles. They're really, really long. Trying to get them as easy as possible. And we want to add them really neatly in the center of our plate. I added some parsley flakes on top just for decoration. So here's our zesty spinach noodle dish, and this again is for the Kiss Me phase, the second phase, and I hope that you try it and that you enjoy it. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and we'll see you next time on Naked Core.